People think manipulation is obvious, that it's loud, messy, ugly. But the truth? The most dangerous kind is quiet. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't demand, it suggests. Doesn't storm through your life, it slips in with a smile, with warmth, with the perfect words that make you feel safe. And here's the catch. The people who wear these masks don't just trick you. They trick themselves. Jung warned us about this. The persona we show the world becomes so practiced, so polished, that even the person wearing it forgets where the mask ends and the real face begins. That's why this matters. Because if you don't learn to see through the masks, you'll give your energy, your trust, your loyalty to an illusion. And illusions never give back. This isn't another video about toxic people. This is about 33 psychological truths, 33 keys that reveal the shadow games happening right in front of you. Each truth is a way of seeing. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Friends, lovers, co-workers, suddenly their performances look paper thin. But these truths aren't only about them. They're about you, your blind spots, your shadow, the ways your need to be liked, to be chosen, to belong, make you vulnerable to control. Here's what's going to happen. We'll go truth by truth. Each one will strip away another layer of illusion. By the end, you won't just recognize the masks. You'll know exactly how to stand in a way that makes you untouchable. So, breathe. Step with me into the theater of shadows. Here are the 33 truths manipulators hope you never learn. Truth 1. If you don't set your worth, they'll discount it. Here's the reality. Life will never give you full price if you walk around with a discount tag on your chest. Every time you stay quiet when you should speak, you're showing others that your comfort is less important than theirs. Think about it. How many times have you bit your tongue just to keep things smooth? You don't want drama, you don't want conflict, so you shrink. And what happens? People get used to your silence. They expect it. Jung would say this: if you don't define your own worth, the world will define it for you, and they will always undercut. Truth 2. Your truth will always sound selfish to those who profit from your silence. The moment you start to stand up for yourself, the backlash begins. They'll say you've changed, that you're selfish, that you're too much now. But let's be honest. Did they really love you? Or did they love the version of you that stayed quiet, easy, and available? The truth is never the problem. Their loss of control is. When you stop being a mirror that reflects their comfort, they call it selfishness. But what it really is freedom. Truth 3. Your shadow is not your enemy. We're told to fear our dark side, to suppress anger, to swallow frustration, to pretend we're endlessly kind and endlessly forgiving. But what happens when you do that? You become a shell, polite but powerless. Your shadow isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to protect you. That anger you bury is actually sacred fire. It's the part of you that says, I deserve respect. Jung taught us. The shadow isn't evil. It's energy. And when you learn to use it, you stop being walked on. Truth 4. People don't believe your words. They believe what you allow. You can tell someone, don't talk to me like that. But if you stay when they disrespect you again, your actions rewrite your words. Here's the painful truth. Boundaries without consequences are just background noise. People don't learn from your speeches. They learn from your absence, from the day you finally stop entertaining the same behavior. Truth 5. Stop apologizing for being hurt. How many times have you whispered, "Sorry, I'm overreacting," or "Sorry, I'm just tired," when what you really meant was, "I'm hurt"? You've been trained to think your feelings are a burden, but every apology you make for your own pain is a quiet lesson in self-erasure. Jung would challenge you to ask, who taught you that being hurt makes you guilty? Pain is not a weakness, it's information, and if you apologize for it long enough, you'll end up erasing yourself while still bleeding for others. Truth 6. Trauma teaches you to call survival love. If love in your childhood meant staying small, keeping peace, or constantly adapting, that's the shape of love your nervous system learned. It wasn't affection, it was survival. As an adult, you'll unconsciously chase situations that echo that pattern. A partner, friend, or even coworker may trigger familiar discomfort, and your mind interprets it as normal. Chaos feels recognizable. Calm feels suspicious. Healing isn't just about avoiding harm. It's about teaching yourself what real love feels like. Safe, not exhausting. It's the moment you start recognizing the difference between comfort and survival, and choosing the former without guilt. Truth 7. If love requires self-betrayal, it isn't love. Every time you say yes when your body says no, every time you compromise your values to keep someone from leaving, that's not love. It's control disguised as affection. Love does not demand your silence. It doesn't punish you for having needs or expressing boundaries. If someone's affection costs you your self-respect, the relationship is a transaction you can't win. Think of all the times you've compromised your truth. Each time you did, your shadow silently recorded it. Jung would say the pattern repeats until recognized, acknowledged, and redirected. The challenge is learning to refuse what diminishes you, even if it risks disapproval or conflict. Truth 8. The mask you wear becomes a cage. The mask, your easygoing persona, your smile when you feel exhausted, your willingness to step back to avoid conflict, starts as protection. But masks have a cost. The longer you wear it, the more the world loves the mask and forgets the real you. Eventually, you forget the line between costume and self. Decisions are filtered through what others expect. Energy that could feed growth is spent on maintenance. The lesson: the mask is a tool, not a life sentence. Real freedom comes when you begin to remove it selectively, showing the world your unfiltered presence without fear. Truth 9. One-sided care isn't love, it's exploitation. You've been the listener, the comforter, the one who absorbs the damage. You give advice, lend space, explain endlessly. Maybe they even thank you. But what do you get in return? If care flows only one way, it's not devotion, it's extraction. You are depleted while the other thrives. Jung would remind us that these patterns persist until recognized. The question isn't whether you're giving enough, it's whether your energy is respected. Care should never cost your identity, only enrich connection. Truth 10. You teach people twice. Once with words, once with action. The first time someone crosses a boundary, it might be on them. The second time, that's on you. Why? Because your energy speaks louder than your words. Every tolerance you show becomes permission. Every silence becomes agreement. Boundaries are meaningless without consistent action. People don't learn what they shouldn't do from lectures. They learn from what you allow. This is a hard truth. Clarity doesn't come from yelling or explaining endlessly. It comes from living it every day, even when it feels uncomfortable. Truth 11. Not everyone who understands you deserves you. Some people can mirror your experiences perfectly. They anticipate your emotions, finish your sentences, even make you feel seen. But understanding isn't the same as safety. Insight without integrity is manipulation. Someone might know your fears, your patterns, your vulnerabilities, and use them for control. Just because someone sees into your past doesn't mean they deserve access to your present. Access to your inner world is a privilege, not a prize. Jung would call this discernment, the quiet, steady awareness of who aligns with your growth and who doesn't. Being understood is a gift, but being safe is the choice you make for yourself. Truth 12. Sensitivity is not weakness, it's awareness. That sudden heaviness in your chest, that drop in energy after a text or call, the instinct to step back. Your body isn't failing you. It's speaking. You weren't too sensitive. You were awake, tuned in to what others miss. You noticed the subtleties, the small tensions, the unspoken messages, the quiet manipulations. The world may dismiss it, call it weakness, or even mock it, but it's actually a gift. Jung would say that heightened perception isn't a flaw, it's a form of self-preservation. Listening to your body, honoring its signals, and responding thoughtfully protects you from repeated harm and helps you navigate relationships without losing yourself. Truth 13. Loyalty to dysfunction isn't virtue. You stay, you forgive, you explain. You tell yourself, I can't leave. I need to keep the peace. That isn't loyalty, it's fear. Fear of change, fear of being alone, fear of losing what's familiar. You aren't being virtuous by enduring pain. You're being trapped by it. True loyalty asks a different question. Does staying here support growth? For me or for the other person? If not, leaving isn't betrayal, it's courage. It's the first step toward authentic connection, toward relationships that honor both people instead of relying on endurance and compromise. Truth 14. Conditional love isn't love, it's consumption. If someone loves you only when you're compliant, agreeable, or quiet, that isn't affection, it's appetite. The moment you assert a boundary, say no, or disagree, their warmth fades. That isn't rejection, it's revelation. The relationship was never about you. It was about control, consumption, and the satisfaction of your compliance. The awakening is recognizing this pattern and refusing to feed it. True love doesn't make your worth dependent on performance. It meets you where you are, consistently. Anything less is not love. It's a contract disguised as affection. Truth 15. Over-explaining is fear in disguise. When you feel the need to justify every choice, clarify the obvious, or talk yourself in circles, it's not about logic. It's fear. Somewhere along the way, you learned that explanation equals love. You convinced yourself that if people understood every nuance of your actions, they wouldn't leave. But real care doesn't demand reasoning or performance. Those who insist on it were never listening in the first place. Clarity doesn't need defense, it simply exists. Jung reminds us that your role is not to rationalize your life to others. It's to live it fully, to trust yourself, and to let your presence communicate what words cannot. Truth 16. Growth will make you unrecognizable to some. As you heal, as you set boundaries and reclaim your energy, some people will stare at you like you've changed overnight. And in a sense, you have. Not because you abandoned who you are, but because you stopped being who they expected. They relied on your old patterns, your tolerance, your silence. When you refuse to play that role anymore, they see a stranger, not because you're different, but because you're whole. Jung would say that transformation isn't just internal, it radiates outward. People who are used to your submission will be unsettled. And that's not cruelty. It's proof you're aligning with your truth. Truth 17. Stagnant love quietly dies. Love isn't a trophy you hold forever. It's a living thing, and it grows, or it fades. When one person evolves and the other refuses to move, the relationship begins to decay. It's not arguments or disagreements that kill it. It's refusal to adapt, respect, and honor growth. If love only survives in comfort zones, it's no longer love. It's habit. True connection requires evolution, patience, and reciprocity. When growth is ignored, what remains is familiar pain disguised as affection. Truth 18. People fear your boundaries because they lived on your silence. The moment you enforce a limit, you disrupt their rhythm. They may call you cold, distant, or harsh. But their reaction isn't about you. It's about their lost control. Jung would say that boundaries reveal who we truly are. When you finally honor your truth, those who relied on your compromise feel threatened, not because they're evil, but because they were comfortable manipulating patterns you allowed. Your calm insistence on respect becomes a mirror. Some will reject it, some will adjust. Either way, the shift is yours. Truth 19. Clarity breaks manipulation. Manipulators thrive on fog, on confusion, on endless debate. They wear you down with dialogue that goes nowhere, because chaos is their currency. Once you stop over-explaining, once you speak and act with consistency, their power diminishes. Clarity is your silent weapon. They may resist or protest, but your truth becomes a wall that cannot be negotiated. This isn't confrontation, it's presence. It's showing up fully in yourself without needing approval, apology, or justification. Truth 20. Empathy without boundaries becomes a trap. Your ability to feel deeply is a gift, but it can be exploited. If you give to others without discernment, you risk erasing yourself. Real compassion doesn't mean endless self-sacrifice. Jung would say that unchecked empathy creates contracts you didn't agree to. People feel entitled to your energy, your attention, your understanding. But love without boundaries is not devotion. It's depletion. To protect yourself is not selfish, it's survival. And in survival, you find the space to love fully but wisely. Truth 21. The desire to be understood can make you tolerate the intolerable. We spend so much of our lives trying to make others understand us, explaining, justifying, giving context, proving our point. It becomes almost instinctual. But here's the catch. Most of the time, it's not because they're listening. It's because we crave recognition, validation, the sense that we matter. Some people don't want clarity. They want control. They want the comfort of knowing you'll bend, adjust, shrink, so they never have to look at their own behavior. They thrive on confusion because it keeps them safe while keeping you anxious. Jung would remind us, understanding is a gift, not a trap. You don't need permission to have your experience, and you don't need approval to assert your truth. When you insist on being understood by those who refuse it, you give away your energy, your peace, and slowly, your sense of self. The lesson? You don't owe explanations to anyone unwilling to see. Truth 22. Offense reveals entitlement, not truth. When you say no, set a boundary, or assert your needs, and someone acts like the world has ended, it's not about you. Their outrage, their drama, their guilt-tripping. It's a reflection of their own expectations, their own sense of entitlement, not your words or actions. Healthy people will hear you. They will pause, reflect, and adjust because they value you. Unhealthy people will resist. They will push, manipulate, and act hurt because your clarity threatens the pattern they've grown used to. This is how you quietly recognize manipulation. The loudest offense rarely lands where it belongs. It's aimed at controlling your behavior, keeping you in the pattern they depend on. The truth? Their reaction isn't your responsibility. It's their reflection. Truth 23. You are not responsible for others' reactions. It's tempting, isn't it? To soften your words, to apologize for the truth, to smooth over the discomfort you feel in others. But growth isn't cruelty, it's clarity. When someone struggles with your boundaries or your honesty, that struggle is their reaction, not your fault. Their discomfort doesn't mean you were wrong. Their anger doesn't mean you were selfish. Shrinking to protect their comfort is a betrayal of yourself. Jung would say that true sovereignty begins the moment you stop bending to accommodate the emotional instability of others. Your evolution is yours to claim. If someone resists, that's a sign of their limits, not your failure. Truth 24. People leave when you become self-respecting. There's a strange irony. The moment you finally stand up for yourself, the people who thrived on your tolerance and compromise will leave. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It means you are no longer easy. They were accustomed to your silence, your overgiving, your compromise. Your clarity is a threat to the world they've built around your submission. When they leave, it's not rejection, it's revelation. They weren't capable of honoring your truth. This is a lesson. Growth often comes with loss, and loss can feel like failure. But in truth, it's freedom. The people who remain are those willing to meet you as you are, not as they wished you to be. Truth 25. Triggers are messengers, not flaws. Every irritation, every flash of anger, every memory that surfaces uninvited. These are not weaknesses. They are messages, signals from your body and mind about unresolved patterns and unmet boundaries. Jung taught that our nervous system holds memory and wisdom. When you feel too much, it's your body alerting you to where your energy, self-respect, or boundaries were compromised. Your triggers are signposts, pointing you toward what needs attention, integration, and healing. The next time you feel triggered, pause. Don't react immediately. Listen. Reflect. Your discomfort is an invitation to reclaim your power, protect your energy, and finally act in alignment with your truth. Truth 26. Projection reveals what they fear in themselves. When someone accuses you of being manipulative, selfish, or controlling, pause and look closer. Often, what they see in you is what they refuse to face within themselves. Projection is a psychological mirror. They are not judging you. They are reacting to their own unresolved patterns. When you set a boundary and they cry foul, when you speak your truth and they call it selfishness, remember, their discomfort is their reflection, not your deficiency. Recognizing this shifts power. Instead of absorbing blame, you observe. Instead of shrinking, you step into your clarity. Jung would say this is the difference between being caught in the storm of others and standing in the calm of your own awareness. Truth 27. Some people are addicted to your dysfunction. There are people who thrive on chaos, who feel comfortable around your uncertainty, your self-doubt, your overgiving. Your struggles feed their patterns, their sense of control, their illusion of safety. But the moment you heal, the moment you show up fully, self-respecting, grounded, you become unfamiliar. That unfamiliarity is threatening. They may retreat, resist, or even try to pull you back. This is a lesson in energy. The more you honor yourself, the less space there is for those who only knew you through your pain. Healing isn't just personal growth. It's a natural filter for the relationships you carry forward. Truth 28. Withdrawing love as punishment was never love. When someone uses silence, withdrawal, or coldness to control you, recognize it for what it is: leverage. It hurts because it triggers old survival patterns. You crave connection. You seek approval. But it isn't love. Love doesn't withhold warmth to punish, pressure, or manipulate. Every time you felt the sting of this kind of love, it was a lesson. Presence should be voluntary, not conditional. Respect yourself enough to no longer participate in games disguised as intimacy. Truth 29. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Boundaries are not debates. They are doors, firmly closed when necessary. You don't need to justify why you say no, why you leave, why you stop giving. Some will argue, beg, or push. Some will demand reasons. But your truth isn't a performance. Your clarity isn't negotiable. Explaining is optional. Enforcing is essential. Jung would say that enforcing your boundaries is a form of self-respect. Words can be ignored. Actions cannot. Let your life teach the lesson your words cannot. Truth 30. You don't have to keep your old versions available. You've grown. You've changed. The person who laughed at the wrong jokes, who tolerated what hurt them, who gave endlessly without receiving, this person doesn't have to be available anymore. You are not rude. You are evolved. You are not selfish. You are self-respecting. When you no longer chase, explain, or overcompensate, some people will be surprised. Some will leave. And that's okay, because the world doesn't need your old self. It needs the fully present, grounded, self-respecting version of you, the one who has learned, integrated, and reclaimed their power. Truth 31. Your peace will trigger those who thrive on chaos. The calmer you become, the louder others will react. The silence you once wore as submission now feels like resistance to them. They thrived on your unease, your discomfort, your constant adaptation. But now, your serenity is a mirror they cannot control. Your boundaries, your stillness, your refusal to be baited. It all feels threatening to those who built their comfort around your chaos. This is not their fault. It's the natural consequence of your growth. The lesson: peace is power. Calm is clarity. And you don't need to fight for recognition to wield it. Truth 32. True love doesn't demand your disappearance. If love asks you to vanish, to shrink, to disappear emotionally or physically, it isn't love. Real love meets you fully where you are, messy, human, alive. You were never meant to perform or audit your emotions for someone else's approval. You were meant to exist fully, to breathe fully, to give and receive freely without erasing yourself in the process. Those who cannot meet you here are not your failing. They are your lesson. And the moment you stop apologizing for your existence, you reclaim the life that was always yours to live. Truth 33. Sovereignty is the silent miracle. The ultimate truth is this: self-respect is silent, but powerful. You don't need revenge. You don't need explanations. You don't need anyone to understand or approve. One morning, you wake up. You don't check your phone. You don't replay old messages. You just breathe. You move through the day unshaken, unbound, free. This is sovereignty. Carl Jung called it the privilege of a lifetime, becoming who you truly are. It isn't loud. It isn't flashy, and it doesn't require permission. It simply is. And when you embody it, your presence becomes magnetic. Not to everyone, but to those who recognize depth, honesty, and truth. You've traveled through 33 truths, through projection, boundaries, trauma, and self-respect. You've seen the patterns that quietly shaped your relationships, your choices, and your pain. But now, something has shifted. You no longer need to chase validation. You no longer bleed for permission. You no longer mistake endurance for love. Your life is yours. Your peace is yours. Your boundaries are yours. And in this ownership, something extraordinary happens. You rise above the noise, the manipulation, the conditional love, and the patterns you once tolerated. This is your silent revolution. Not everyone will cheer for it. Not everyone will understand it. But that's the point. You are no longer here to be understood. You are here to be whole. And when you move through the world from this place, grounded, sovereign, awake, you'll realize something Jung always knew. The real miracle isn't in changing the world. It's in refusing to let the world change you. You don't need permission. You don't need apology. You don't need closure. You just need to be. And in being, you finally rise.